Good evening. There are calls tonight for a public inquiry from the parents of 3 men killed in rioting in Birmingham. It follows a report into the botched police investigation. On the 6th of August, 3 years ago, riots began in London and spread. Tariq Jahan and brothers Shahzad Ali and Abdul Musavir died on August the 11th in Birmingham. They were hit by a car as they tried to protect local shops. 8 men were cleared of murder in July 2012, with a judge criticising the police investigation. Well, today's report said a detective inspector was wrong to offer witness immunity from prosecution. He's since retired. Here's our special correspondent, Peter Wilson.
The summer of 2011 burst into flames. Riots and looting spread like a contagion. Chaos mixed with confusion. Gangs and even guns on the streets of Birmingham. Then, death entered the frame.
3 young men lost their lives. The community here says they were simply trying to protect their homes and the rest of their community.
Tariq Jahan and brothers Shahzad and Abdul Musavir were hit by a car. Birmingham could have erupted into violence, but for the pleas of one man.
I lost my son. Blacks, Asians, whites, we all live in the same community. Why do we have to kill one another?
Today, 3 years on, a weary Tariq Jahan is angry as he spoke of betrayal.
The community stood with me. They remained calm. But, I put my whole faith in the judicial system. And as I've said before, a slap in the face is what I got in return from them.
After a trial, 8 young men celebrated having been cleared of murder. The judge criticised the police for failing to disclose offers of immunity to witnesses. And one senior officer was accused of lying during the trial. Now, a 2-year investigation concludes that mistakes were made.
The behaviour of Tariq Jahan was individual. It was reckless actions. They may well have been motivated by trying to get people to take forward, but in the circumstances they were reckless and risk jeopardising the prosecution case.
Former Detective Inspector Khalid Kiani, seen here, had 30 years service. He was one of the first Muslim officers in the force and well regarded by many. Yet the report says he might have faced gross misconduct charges had he not retired. For Tariq Jahan, there's bitterness at the way he was fated by the powerful, only to be left without justice.
These are the same people that stood by my side and said to me, if there's anything we can do to help, we'll be there. And I've lost my faith in them as well. I've got more love and respect for Prince William, who came twice and stood by my side, paid his condolences. I've got more respect for that young man than I have for any politician.
This was one of the most high-profile police investigations ever carried out. The families are now calling for a public inquiry, while others are demanding resignations.
It's quite clear that the position of the Chief Constable is untenable. Trust and confidence in West Midlands Police is at an all-time low. This case hasn't boded well for the police, and ultimately the buck stops with him, and if it needs to be removed from office, then that needs to happen.
The dust and the ashes from the riots have long since settled. The flowers here, just a sad memento. But today, with the families saying that for them justice has not been done, the sense of loss over the deaths of 3 young men appears today to be even more keenly felt. Peter Wilson for BBC Midlands Today, Winston Green, Birmingham.
Well, a little earlier this afternoon, the police accepted that mistakes were made when witnesses were offered immunity, but they say there was no attempt to cover anything up.
As soon as we became aware of that situation, far from setting out to conceal it or deceive anyone or cover it up, we actually did the opposite. We fully acknowledged it. We referred it immediately to the Independent Police Complaints Commission so that it could be investigated properly, independently, well away from this force. We've supported them in that investigation throughout. It's been detailed, lengthy and thorough, and now they publish their conclusions. We readily accept their conclusions.
Well, I'm joined now by Tariq Jahan, who lost his son Harun in the rioting 3 years ago in Birmingham. Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you make of what the police had to say there?
It doesn't answer any questions for me. It just leaves me in the same position I've been in. since before the IPCC report. We're still left high and dry.
So what questions do you want answered?
I want people held accountable, these that have been accused in the report, stating that Tariq Jahan gave immunity and Inspector Tag, who to me, in my eyes, the police force seem to have rallied around him, and yet because Tariq Jahan is now retired, nothing can be done about this. I'm looking at legal aspects of what we can do and where we go from here, but because the report has just been released and the information has just come out, I'm still waiting to talk to lawyers.
Right, so early days, I accept, but Bob Jones, the West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner, appears to be supporting your call for a public inquiry. Who else will you be looking to for support?
Anybody and everybody. First and foremost, I'm hoping that Doreen Lawrence, someone who's experienced the same feelings that I have, knows what I'm going through. I'm hoping because she's now a Baroness and sitting in the House of Commons, she can put our case forward. Also, the Home Secretary, Theresa May, to look into this case, where the shortcomings are and see what can be done, and hopefully bring some people to account.
You played a key part in quelling the tension back in 2011, and you told our correspondent Peter Wilson you feel as though you've had a slap in the face. How do you look back on that time now and the role that you played in the riots?
I'm quite happy the role that I played. I would do it all over again. The community have shown fantastic calmness and stayed within what we asked of them. 2.5 years on, no one's done anything out of order. I'm happy, but I'm saddened and my heart's broken. As a father, a simple lame man, I keep going back to the same issues. You know, to find your son lying on the streets, dying, to go through all this after 2.5 years, and I put all my faith, both families did, we put all our faith completely into the West Midlands Police to be able to get justice. And it's so easy for the police to turn around and say, you know, we're sorry, and that's it. We
did actually ask the Chief Constable to come onto the programme this evening. He declined. What would you say to him?
Get your house in order. You know, this happens way too often. People come out and say all sorts of things about we should look into it shouldn't happen again, but it keeps happening again and again.
Tariq Jahan, thank you for talking to us this evening. You're watching Midlands Today. Good to have you with us this evening. Coming up later in the programme, weighed down by expectations.